Catherine de Medici. You've probably heard her name before. She was the Italian noblewoman who became Queen of France. But she was so much more than just a queen. To many, she was a figure of mystery, a woman who walked the line between power and the supernatural. Arriving in France in 1533 to marry a prince who would become King Henry II, she was an outsider from the very beginning. The French court was a dangerous place, full of whispers and plots. Catherine had to be clever, she had to be strong, and she had to find her own sources of power, which weren't always the kind you find in politics. Now, imagine this Italian queen, surrounded by suspicious French nobles. They called her the shopkeeper's daughter because her family, the Medici, were bankers, not ancient royalty. She needed an edge, a way to show her influence and protect her family in this hostile environment. Catherine turned to the stars. She was deeply interested in astrology and the occult, consulting famous seers like Nostradamus. This wasn't unusual for the 16th century, but Catherine took it to another level. Her reputation grew as a woman who could perhaps see into the future, a queen who knew more than she was letting on. This fascination with the mystical arts is central to understanding her legend. She wasn't just governing a kingdom, she was trying to navigate destiny itself. Her private chambers were said to be filled with strange devices, astrological charts, and magic mirrors. People whispered that she could summon spirits and read omens in the clouds. This reputation made her both feared and respected. It was a clever tool for a queen who often found herself in precarious situations, especially after her husband's death when she became the regent for her young sons. Her power was real, but the stories surrounding her made it seem almost otherworldly. Her story is a thrilling mix of history and myth, where political ambition meets dark prophecies. Was she a ruthless schemer who used superstition to manipulate those around her? Or was she a genuinely devout follower of the mystical arts, seeking guidance from a world beyond our own? The truth, as is often the case with history's most compelling figures, is likely somewhere in between. But it is this very ambiguity that makes her so fascinating. She was a queen, a mother, and perhaps a sorceress, who left behind a legacy as complex and mysterious as the legends she inspired. At the heart of Catherine's mystical legend is an object of incredible power and mystery, her astrological crown. This wasn't just any royal crown, dripping with ordinary diamonds and pearls. Oh no, this was something far more special. Legend tells us it was a masterpiece of occult craftsmanship, designed not just for beauty, but for magic. The crown was said to be forged from a dark, unknown metal and adorned with a specific collection of gemstones. Each stone was chosen for its astrological significance, corresponding to planets and stars, and was believed to hold a unique power. Think of it as a wearable magical tool. The stories say the stones were engraved with intricate symbols and astrological signs, almost invisible to the naked eye. It was said that when Catherine wore it, the gems would glow with a faint inner light. This was her connection to the cosmos, her personal oracle. The crown was believed to protect her from harm, amplify her intuition, and, most importantly, allow her to glimpse fragments of the future. It was her most closely guarded secret, a source of power that no one else could understand or possess. It was the ultimate royal accessory. The crown was supposedly created for her by the greatest astrologers and alchemists of her time. They worked in secret, following ancient formulas to imbue the object with its alleged powers. The placement of each stone was crucial, creating a celestial map on her head. A sapphire might represent Jupiter, bringing wisdom and fortune, while a ruby could stand for Mars, offering strength in conflict. When combined, these stones were said to create a powerful energy field around the queen, making her visions clearer and her predictions more accurate. It was a crown fit for a queen who ruled not just a country, but the very forces of fate. Of course, no physical proof of this specific astrological crown exists today, which only adds to its mystique. Historians debate whether it was a real, tangible object or simply a powerful metaphor for Catherine's obsession with divination. But in the stories passed down through the centuries, the crown is very real. It represents her unique brand of rule, a blend of statecraft and sorcery. It was the symbol of a queen who looked beyond the throne and towards the heavens for her authority, making her one of the most enigmatic rulers in European history. The legend of the crown is tied to three famous and tragic events. The first surrounds the wedding of her daughter Margaret to Henry of Navarre in 1572. This marriage was supposed to bring peace between Catholics and Protestants. But Catherine, wearing her crown, was said to have had a terrible vision. She saw blood staining the wedding dress and the streets of Paris running red. Just a few days after the wedding, her vision came true in the most horrific way. The St. Bartholomew's Day massacre began, a brutal slaughter of Protestants that plunged France back into religious war. The crown had shown her the future, but she was powerless to stop it. Even more famous is the story of her husband's death. King Henry II loved jousting. It was his favorite sport. One day, Catherine begged him not to participate in an upcoming tournament. She told him that her crown had shown her a vision of him with a fatal wound to his eye. Her astrologer, Nostradamus, had also given a chillingly similar prophecy about a young lion overcoming an older one in a cage of gold. The king, of course, laughed it off. But during the joust, a splinter from his opponent's lance pierced through his golden helmet's visor, the cage of gold, and entered his eye. He died a slow, agonizing death days later, just as Catherine had foreseen. The third prophecy was perhaps the most heartbreaking for her as a mother. Catherine wanted her sons to rule, to continue the Valois dynasty. The crown, however, showed her a different, darker fate. The prophecy stated that all of her sons would become kings, but none would leave an heir to continue their line. And one by one, the prophecy was fulfilled. Francis II, Charles IX, and Henry III all sat on the throne of France, and one by one, they died young, without sons to succeed them. With the death of her last son, Henry III, the House of Valois came to an end, and the throne passed to a new dynasty. These stories cemented Catherine's reputation as a queen who possessed a dark gift. Did the crown truly show her these terrible futures? Or were these simply tales spun after the events to make a powerful woman seem even more formidable? It's impossible to know for sure. But the legends paint a picture of a tragic figure, a queen who could see the doom awaiting her loved ones, but could do nothing to prevent it. Her power was her curse, and the crown was a constant, heavy reminder of the tragedies that she was destined to witness. So what happened to this incredible magical crown? If it was so important, where is it today? Well, that is the final piece of the puzzle, and it's a complete mystery. The crown vanished from history. After Catherine's death in 1589, France fell deeper into the chaos of the wars of religion. Royal treasuries were looted, palaces were ransacked, and countless precious items were lost forever. Sometime during this turmoil, the astrological crown simply disappeared. There is no record of its sale, its destruction, or its transfer to the next monarch. It was as if it melted back into the shadows from which it came. Naturally, a treasure this legendary couldn't just vanish without inspiring some fantastic stories. One popular legend claims that the crown was too powerful and dangerous to fall into the wrong hands. Before she died, Catherine supposedly entrusted it to a secret society, perhaps connected to Nostradamus, who were sworn to guard it for eternity. They are said to have hidden it in a place so secret, so well protected by riddles and traps, that no one has ever been able to find it. People have searched for it in the catacombs beneath Paris, in hidden vaults of Medici palaces in Florence, and in forgotten chateaux across the French countryside. Another, more dramatic rumor suggests the crown was stolen. Perhaps a rival noble, desperate to possess its power, managed to snatch it during the confusion following Catherine's death. Or maybe it was taken by a Protestant leader who saw it as a symbol of Catholic idolatry and had it melted down. Some even whisper that the crown was never meant for this world, and that upon the death of its master, it was reclaimed by the mystical forces that created it. The possibilities are endless, each one adding another layer of intrigue to the story. Today, the legend of Catherine de Medici's crown fascinates us more than ever. It's the ultimate historical cold case. The story combines royalty, magic, and lost treasure, all the ingredients for a perfect mystery. It reminds us that history is not just about dates and facts, but also about the beliefs, fears, and stories that people told. Whether the crown was a real object of power or just a legend, it perfectly captures the spirit of its enigmatic owner. And who knows? Maybe, just maybe, it's still out there somewhere, waiting in the dark for someone to discover its secrets.